Your Excellency, Mr. Ambassador, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to Satakunta Air Command on shore. Tervetuloa Satakunnan lennostoon kaikille ja hyvää huomenta minun puolestani. Olen eversti Aki-Heikkinen ja Satakunnan lennoston komentaja sekä tämän HX Challenge-testitapahtuman johtaja. Tämä on HX Challengen toinen lehdistötapahtuma ja edellistä viikoista voisin lyhyesti kertoa sen verran, että Challenge lähti hienosti käyntiin ja kiitos kaikkien erinomaisen valmistautumisen. Myöskin testilennot saatiin hyvin käynnistettyä. Ja ensimmäisen ehdokkaan testit etenivät meidän suunnitelmien mukaisesti. Testikenttä ja testijärjestelyt, joita Etelä-Suomen alueella on rakennettu, toimivat juuri sillä tavalla niin kuin olemme odottaneet. Ja nyt seuraavaksi vuorossa on Dasault Rafale ja me Satakunnan lennostossa olemme valmiita seuraaviin testeihin. Tässä vaiheessa luovutan puheenvuoron HX-hankkeen kolmajohtajalle hankeenjohtajalle.
Your Excellencies, Mr. Ambassador, so I'm Colonel Juha Keränen JP. I'm directing HX program here in Air Force and Logistics Command. So I briefly introduce about in which stage we are in our HX competition about in 5 minutes, which after I will give for you about Benjamin and I'm willing to give any answer any questions you have later on the outside of this building or after the Rafale media presentations. Next please. Next one. So main idea is to replace our F-18 capabilities and that should be done by 2030s. So meaning that our current F-18 fleet will be downscaled by 2030. And schedule itself and program itself been running smoothly, so we are on schedule and we don't expect to have any changes about our program and our IOC, meaning that by 2028 we must be, if necessary, capable to replace our fighter squadron with F-18 and put all the F-18 in single squadron and get the new capabilities in other air bases. And program itself, this spring we are really busy and I guess also tenders are really busy. We are having our responses in end of this month and it's after we have a fourth negotiation round and we are together combining what is the best solution for the Rafale in this phase and we expect to send our best and final offer request in summer time frame, either in prior summer or after summer and responses for the PAFO will expect to have in end of this year. Next please. So even though military capability is only one which will be ranked and that's the primary issue whereby we are having best capability for Finland. So we have 3 other major decisions which must be included also in by tenders. So I would say we have a combined planning exercise together with each tender. So we try to optimize military capabilities by each tender, in this case Rafale, to get everything out about the money what will be given in our parliament and in our cabinet. So biggest issue is that we have 10 billion euros budget and within that budget we have to include all the weapons, aircraft and support equipment, but also if needed any infrastructure changes or any other improvements in our facilities and those will be also inside that budget. Another tough item is that we have been limited that our operational sustainment cost should be about same level which is now in F-18. So in the future HX must be operated the same budget. So our parliament and our cabinet actually gave us 10 billion euros. That's extra money for you and don't come and ask more about when you are sustaining your HX fleet. Another decision area is security of supply, meaning that we must be capable to operate also in under the crisis situations because we are non-aligned nation meaning that we, as ourselves, we must be capable to operate in sustained period of time if our lines of communications are cut or logistic or any IP lines are cut. Another and third decision area is industrial participation, that all tender must have 30% of value of our maximum budget about the industrial participation, meaning about roughly 3 billion euros valid for the military capabilities. So those, not any offset is allowed in here in our process, but all the industrial participation must be either indirect, it's mainly about how to maintain aircraft, or indirect, how to support our military capabilities here in Finnish Defense Forces. Next please. So our approach is capability-based approach. So as I already mentioned, we are not only seeking about the best aircraft itself. The aircraft and its system must be plugged in also in our defense networks, meaning that you have to have some kind of capabilities either via data links or any other system to combine capabilities to the way that it can support our defense forces either in other services or in our defense command. And to have all the capabilities, so we have to have systems to be planned, execute and debrief all the mission sets. And we also have included enough weapons, enough sensors and enough spare parts and toolkits for to sustain our aircraft here in Finland. And of course we would like to get everything out of the HX capabilities, meaning that we have to have training systems, and training should be here in Finland inside the air forces. We also have some constructed tools and to be capable to simulate capabilities and optimize capabilities and seeking, when we are seeking about future capabilities when upgrading the HX itself. Next please. So our defense forces has required us about 5 different mission areas. Counter air is of course most critical ones, because whatever missions you are conducting in airborne, you always may face out about the fighters or in ground-based air defense, and you have to be survivable against those threats, and of course have to be also effective against those threats. And that's the also primary mission area for the Finnish Air Forces. We also must be capable to support our land forces as in counter operations, also have the capability to support in our naval units and naval operations as counter seas, and also be capable to have long-range strike capability, so meaning have a kind of capability to pick up crucial targets or strategic targets and to aim at those. And fifth one is our to have a capability to collect information and share information to our defense forces, to have kind of intelligence surveillance and targeting capabilities with the HX. So those mission areas, they are those are nominated as 5 different scenarios. So we have put scenarios for the tenders, and we are seeking to as a solution for each tender how you are solving about those scenarios as a one operational requirement. And we have now in this phase we are testing about Dasault solution and how they are complying those 5 mission areas, and what are requirements about those capabilities needed in those when you are solving the problem in those mission areas. Next please. So we have also 6th operational requirement is stated by my air chief, so must be capable to also use our own doctrine as the Air Force, meaning in our operational environment we must be capable to disperse our fighters inside the Finnish airspace, and also in using a civilian airside and also highway strips if needed, and that's in agile combat support. But it's not only about the landing and operating capabilities, but it's also you have to be capable to sustain and rearm aircraft itself in certain conditions. So you have to have enough tools and kits to be capable to disperse all capabilities. And 7th requirement is that we have to have capable to operate at least a minimum 30 years How this will be evaluated here is now we are in first phase in bottom of this picture. So we have selected some test points together with the Dasault and Rafale team, which are like a highlighting capabilities needed in Rafale solution. So if the solution in counter-air operation is that radar must be capable to pick up our targets in 100 kilometers, then we are testing that is it really capable to pick up targets in 100 kilometers. So in each mission areas we have some test points which will be tested during the whole week. And of course we have some testing about landing capabilities and some other flight envelopes tests being conducted during the test phase. But main idea is to test about the armament system itself, so sensors and other critical portions. But we also have testing how we can conduct and plan those missions also. So what is our mission planning systems, how easily can be planned, and how the information is put into aircraft and how can be debriefed. And those evaluations will be done during the next 7 days, next week. So we have agreed together how testings will be conducted, and as an example, so mainly normally we fly 1 or 2 or 3 sorties a day. So most likely we had only 1 night sortie and other ones being conducted in night and daytime, and you won't see us as often airborne as some people and local media would like to see. So this being planned together and will be executed together, and main idea is to get information and check also information being received by the Dasault is right. Any question for me?
Voidaan tosiaan ottaa pari kysymystä tässä välissä.
Yeah, Tapani Koivunen. I'd like to know, as far as the program we have today, how much we could actually use simulator training in our replacing actually aircraft flying for missions and so forth. Can you see the significant portion?
It's already in significant portion when we are training our pilots here in our F-18s, and of course in the future it's even more important to have good simulations and virtual simulators together, and we would like to link them together, of course, the flying squadrons against or in the same site. So it's already crucial part of our training, and in the future maybe even more important, because of course you have some limitation when you are flying in airborne. It's either operational reason you won't like to show about every capabilities you have, or flight safety issue also, and it may limit your training also. So, virtual simulators, they are great already today, and I guess they are even improving in the future also.
Kettunen, Suomen sotilas. Are the simulators of the different planes from the different manufacturers, are they interoperable?
We have some kind of requirements. It could be, but of course nowadays standards normally they are not. But because I would say all operators here in Europe, of course, would like to have a combined simulator exercises, and now they are solving about how we can be interoperable, how we can actually operate together. But of course, there's some limitations because there's 2 items. So your own platform, secret stuff inside in your mission computers, and another one is about how is the virtual and how emulated world. So you would like to like what is your parameters behind your what you have put in your systems. So have to have kind of like interoperable standards which after could be done. So far, I mean, so maybe in NATO side we have, but we haven't tested. But that was a requirement already in 2008 with our F-18 when we improved our simulators. So it would be nice to also get international training together with our simulators. But those are main 2 operational reasons and more mainly I would say that way. You have to have valid training also. So because if you have bad emulations, then you get wrong training, and this is not good in when you are training your fighter pilots.
Onko vielä yksi?
Pirja Yle. One very practical question. Is this weather a disappointment for you? Did you plan to make these tests in print conditions?
No. Of course, would be nice to have different types of weather, and we knew that in that time period it might change very a lot. But when it's really cold, it's good weather for the fighters. You have lots of thrust and also lots of friction also when you are landing. So it's almost like in summertime. The most crucial is always when you have icing conditions. It's like +5 to -5, and lots of cloud also showing in which is actually real weather here in Finland. So meaning that you have to have some capabilities also to see through the clouds, not only the TV cameras or electro-optic devices. So and that's been good and tested. So of course we would like to have many different kinds of weather. So good weather, bad weather, and also icing weather also.
Kiitoksia. Now Mr. Gade, please.
Hyvää huomenta, hyvät naiset ja herrat. Thank you, Colonel Heikkinen and Colonel Keränen. On behalf of Rafale International, I would like to welcome you in Pirkkala today. My name is Benjamin Gardet and I'm heading Rafale's Finnish campaign, and I will be guiding you through the next 2 hours we have here together today. First of all, we would like to thank the Ilmailuvideoita and Satakunnan lennostoon with all their team for hosting in Pirkkala this HX challenge, and we already feel a little bit at home for the week. We would also like to thank the HX team for their professionality and openness during the whole process. So far your work sets really true examples for other countries. It is great to see so many representatives of the media here today. It shows the importance of the upcoming decision and that defense is held in high esteem in Finland. The big international interest also shows the professionality and openness of this strategic program held and managed by the Finnish Ministry of Defense. Thank you for all the media being here today. For myself, it is a real pleasure and an advantage to work in the Finnish campaign. My team here has been here almost every week for the past 4 years, and we have been meeting representatives of the Finnish Defense Forces, the Finnish industry, and other cooperation partners regularly, and I've been impressed by the way they are working and handling things here in Finland. So it is a real honor to offer Rafale's comprehensive package, a European strong partnership to your country. I will shortly introduce our program for today and our speakers. And after we are ready here for a conference, I would like to welcome you outside, where you will have the opportunity to see and get closer to the 2 Rafale aircraft, and also ask questions and I guess take pictures based on the guidelines from the Ministry of Defense. But let us start with the program. The speakers on our side will be His Excellency Mr. Serge Tomasi, Ambassador of France to Finland. It is great to have you here, sir. Your support and the French government means a lot to us, and it's great to welcome you here, Mr. Tomasi. We will have also General Gaël Diaz de Tuesta from the French Defense Procurement Agency of the Ministry for the Armed Forces in France. And you will have General Joël Rod from Dasault Aviation as well. And our last speaker will be Lieutenant Colonel Clément Amaga from the French Air Force, as well a Rafale pilot. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome on board. As you know, the French offer is presented by an industrial consortium led by Dasault Aviation, in cooperation with our French military procurement agency and our Air Force. But this offer is also presented with the full support of the French government, and as the French ambassador to Finland, I would like to highlight some key elements of the political background behind this offer. Let me start by highlighting that France has a long tradition of cooperation with Finnish Air Forces. Indeed, the first aircraft registered in 1990 by the Finnish Air Forces was a French Morane-Saulnier aircraft built in Sweden. It was a European cooperation. And later, at several times during the 20th century, the Finnish Air Force used some French aircraft. But the current competitive bidding is launched in a very challenging time in terms of security, with growing international tensions, new threats, and a very moving strategic environment, including in the Baltic Sea region. This has motivated the French decision to present the best possible offer in consistency with our growing military efforts in the region. Indeed, France has dramatically increased its presence in the region to support our European partners within the framework of NATO, through the participations to the Baltic Air Policy, for which France is today the second largest contributor, the participation to several military exercises, or with the presence of French soldiers in Estonia and Lithuania within the enhanced forward presence. And in 2018 and 2019, we published 2 white papers dealing with French approach of Baltic Sea and Arctic security challenges. A special emphasis has been put on building a solid bilateral partnerships with Finland, and today our bilateral cooperation is stronger than ever. Indeed, over the 2 last years, our 2 defense ministries signed a first bilateral framework for cooperations. We also organized several strategic dialogues, including last year with the participations of the members of the 2 parliaments. And since the official visit of President Macron in August 2018 in Helsinki, a close strategic dialogue has been developed at the highest level regarding European security or the relations with Russia. And in July 2019, it was for us a great honor to get the participations of President Niinistö and the Finnish Armed Forces to the military défilé on the Champs-Élysées for our National Day. At the European level, you all know that France is leading the process to build a solid European defense policy. In this regard, we are very pleased to see the full support of Finland regarding PESCO, with the launch of several French-Finnish joint projects, regarding the European Intervention Initiative, with the memberships of Finland, regarding the launch of the European Defence Fund, or the operationalizations of Article 42/7 of the Lisbon Treaty. France and Finland are going hand in hand to build a European defense policy, and it is why France and Finland have published in 2018 a joint statement on the EU defense policy. So it is with this background in mind and the feeling that your security is ours, as it was said by our defense minister Florence Parly during her visit in Helsinki, that we decided to present this offer to Finland. Indeed, Finland is now a strategic partner for us for the reasons developed before, but also because we share somehow the same approach regarding our national defense systems, based in fact on 3 pillars. Firstly, the national level, with the strong and continuous efforts of the two countries to build a solid national capacity with a strategic autonomy. I mean our own capabilities to perform surveillance missions, risk analysis, and operational missions, if needed, to protect our national citizens and national interests. In this regard, the Rafale has been, since the origin, developed as a multi-role aircraft with a full autonomy and a great availability. Regarding its multi-role dimension, let me just remind you that this aircraft is used, of course, by our air forces, but as well as our Navy. And Rafale is also a key component of our nuclear deterrence strategy. This aircraft is able to manage air policing missions, ground attack, as well as air defense missions, with the capacity to switch from a role to another within the same zone. The second level is, of course, the bilateral and multilateral cooperation, since France is a member of NATO. The Rafale has also been initiated to be fully interoperable and has a long experience of joint multilateral missions with the cooperation of several nations, for instance, in Afghanistan or in the Middle East. Third level, the European dimension, a key priority for France. As you know, Dassault Aviation will be the leading company for the development of the next generations of fighters that will be at the core of the future combat aircraft system, the FCAS. Therefore, choosing the Rafale means to get on board of the European future air combat system and to contribute to building a credible European defense capacity. To conclude, let me highlight again that France is a European defense partner, predictable and fully committed over the long term to promote European security. Let me also highlight that France is a reliable partner, able to mobilize its armed forces when an ally is facing an external aggression. For instance, to protect civil population in Bamako or in Benghazi, to conduct joint and combined strikes in Syria to stop blunt violation of international law, or to fight against Daesh in Syria or Iraq. In all these conflicts, France has been active, the Rafale has been engaged, and the Rafale has demonstrated its exceptional capabilities. It is a combat-proven aircraft used by the strongest army within the EU, especially after the Brexit. It is an offer presented by a European country located at the core of the European continent, at the core of the European project, deeply committed to build a European defense policy and a long-term partnerships with Finland. Thank you for your attention.
Good morning, everyone. I am delighted to attend the session and the subsequent evaluation of the Rafale aircraft by Finnish officials. I'm Brigadier General Gaël Diaz de Tuesta from the French Direction Générale de l'Armement, our defense procurement agency. I coordinate the French government-to-government potential cooperation program related to HX. Rafale comes from a straightforward idea. A country such as France, with a fleet of a few hundred fighter planes, could no longer afford to have too many different types of aircraft. There is obviously an efficiency reason linked to economies of scale. There is also an operational reason. Modern warfare is more global than it was in the past, and air forces need aircraft and pilots capable of executing all types of mission during one single mission. This is why France decided to replace 7 different aircraft by Rafale. So, from the very beginning, we, the French government, told industry that we wanted them to design a plane natively capable of all the missions, from recce to air, from airborne deterrence to air-to-ground, and from anti-ship to air-to-air refueling between 2 Rafale. To make things harder, the Defense Procurement Agency also requested 1 single aircraft to be able to operate from land and from the Porte-Avions Charles de Gaulle, which is not the largest aircraft carrier in the world. We demanded that industry use state-of-the-art armament, optical and radar sensors, electronic warfare suites, and we natively embedded in Rafale the concepts of data fusion, connectivity, and interoperability. While we were at it, we requested industry to implement innovative maintenance concepts. For example, the modular architecture of the engine allows to change a single module, say the high-pressure compressor, and go back flying without any bench test. This is not widespread in military engines and has many operational and availability benefits. Those ideas represent a fantastic industrial and design challenge. To be fully omni-role, you need to think of all potential design choices in advance. It is the only way to avoid bad surprises when you want to introduce a new functionality. And we all know that true challenges enhance motivation. The Finnish football team proved it by qualifying to Euro 2020. In the Rafale domain, industry also took up the challenge and they have delivered. As a procurement specialist, I hereby confirm that they have delivered in time, budget, and performance. Another feature of Rafale is its modular architecture. It provides flexibility to adapt to future Air Force requirements whilst avoiding heavy hardware retrofits. Every few years, we introduce what we call a new standard. In the last decade, F3 standard was, for instance, the opportunity to introduce the airborne deterrent and an active electronically scanned area radar, or ASA radar, giving Rafale exceptional air-to-air capabilities. F3R is the current standard in France. F3R contract was awarded to industry in 2013, with a qualification date set at the time for the end of 2018. Qualification was reached a bit ahead of schedule in October 2018, confirming what I said earlier about the ability of industry to deliver on-time performance and budget. F4 standard has just been launched and is destined to increase connectivity, increase electronic warfare, and prepare Rafale to be a key asset in FCAS NGWS. As you know, Future Combat Air System, Next Generation Weapon System, is currently a trilateral future combat air system with Germany and Spain, which leadership is endorsed by France. Our budgetary and operational plans are based on Rafale being a central asset in combat air until FCAS NGWS is sufficiently deployed and matured. This will lead us well into the 2060s. After that horizon, Rafale and the Future Combat Air System Next Generation Weapon System will complement each other. Such a plan is fully manageable for the country the size of France. To be fair, it is also probably the maximum, and I do not think we would be in a position to sustain more than 2 fleets in parallel. In complement to the political message delivered to our ambassador a few minutes ago, my last slide is a perfect illustration of why there are uniforms around the table today. There is indeed a high aspiration in the French Ministry of Defense to cooperate with your country, to cooperate with Finland. First, we will support Finland through an ambitious defense cooperation in order to support the acquisition of the capability. The French government, the French Ministry of Defense know the system. We know the industrial network involved, and we will transfer know-how and expertise in this field. The investments we have made over the years will also benefit Finland through training and access to our testing facilities. Second, the French administration will not impose performance restrictions on the Rafale that is delivered to Finland. And third, we are counting on Finland to help us make progress by staff exchange, by sharing of feedback, by fully cooperating on testing, on future requirements, on new technologies. We anticipate a genuine added value on the use of Rafale and the definition and implementation of the next standards of Rafale. This open and hands-on approach will definitely allow Finland to implement its security of supply concept. I can assure you this because we understand your concepts. The French requirements for sovereignty, for freedom of action, are indeed very similar to yours, both nationally and in the framework of the discussions on the European instruments such as PESCO or the European Defence Fund. The decision on the HX program will obviously be a Finnish-only decision, but I can reiterate our satisfaction on the Rafale program by saying that if we were to go back in time, France would choose Rafale again. I am sure this well-deserved compliment will not put too much pressure on the next speakers. I thank you all for your attention.
My name is Joël Rode. I'm a former French Air Force general and I joined Dasault 2 years ago. It's quite difficult when you are a pilot to talk about after so many nice pictures, but I wanted to stress a little bit on some of features that are very important and that I found very specific to what the Finland needs. Gael mentioned the fact that the Rafale took over from a lot of dedicated to one mission former aircraft, and to be able to cover all those air power roles dedicated and given to the Air Force, it was absolutely necessary when you want to be able to perform either successively or at the same time an air policing mission combined with an intelligence gathering mission or a tactical tanking mission. You have to have special capabilities, you have to have versatile capabilities. But what was important also is that the Rafale is to stay in the French Air Force for the next 30 or 40 years. So it was very important that we keep an open architecture so that to be able to cope with the future. I mentioned that with this picture because in the future a lot of Air Force will also rely on unmanned vehicles that you will have to be able to combine with, for example, a Rafale fleet. This is very important to keep in mind. So, a lot of missions, a lot of versatile capabilities, all this on one pilot or air crew. So it was also a challenge to be able to develop a very intuitive interface. Talking about interface, we have to take into account, the fact that there are a lot of sensors around the aircraft, on the aircraft, and a lot of areas from which the information to be fused come from. Would it be from the EW suite that brings a lot of information to the pilot? Would it be from an infrared missile seeker, which on its own gives information to the pilot? Would it be from the wingy, which is there, airborne, not far, ready to support? It was very important to make a gathering of information simple and to make the fusing of information very intuitive so that to be able to grasp a complex situation within a blink of an eye. That was a challenge, I think, that was performed. Talking about a challenge in itself, what was important, I mentioned that briefly initially, was that the Rafale is able to sustain a multi-mission simultaneous philosophy. That is to say, you are able to perform an air policing mission with your intelligence gathering systems working simultaneously for their own mission that you planned initially. And so, for all this goal to be achieved, you had to have the kind of same logics, consistent logics from one mission to another. So, from the helmet displayed information to the lateral and head level displayed information, this was always, depending on the mission, the same logic so that it would be very intuitive and very repetitive for the air crew to be able to conduct the mission. And by the way, that would somehow answer your question, that would ease also the training because some kind of repetitive action, some kind of that become reflexes are very easy to recall. Because the Rafale is always employed in natively permanent and joint operations, the Rafale had to be able to be connected with each and every actor of a joint operations, from a ground special ops to an AWACS to a C2 on the ground, with allies and with members of NATO or non-members of NATO. It was very important that we would bring and set on the Rafale a layered and secured connectivity suite. That has been the focus and that has been achieved. I would like to stress a little bit on the air defense role of the Rafale. the Rafale is going to bring a real paradigm change in the air-to-air world, because the threat is changing, because the threat is evolving, because all type of the threat have to be taken into account from airborne. It was, for example, very important to be able to work on a silent mode, not to be detected, working only on passive detectors, exchanging and crossing information with the wingmen participating to the mission, so that to be able to locate and shoot at someone without transmitting any information. This is very important. What is also very important, thanks to the connectivity suite, is to be able to share a missile with the wingman, so that I would, as a leader, would go towards the threat, escape as soon as possible, and leave it to my wingman the burden to guide the missile to the target. This is also very important because you increase the decision to shoot, and you increase the time delay before the decision to shoot, and you make the guidance in a standard situation. This is one of the paradigm change that I addressed initially. So this is why I dare saying that with Rafale and with its system, including the missiles, we have the best combination at the moment in the air-to-air world. The Rafale has been involved in very unpermissive theaters, and those theaters will become less and less permissive. This is why it was decided to adapt the weaponry that would be brought to the theater operations by the Rafale. And so with this air-to-ground weaponry, which is very adaptable, we could perform a cruise missile mission. We could anticipate being able to or ask to conduct any anti-ship or set and dead enemy air defense suppression or destruction missions, and use new standard weapons, so that to be able again to address any type of situation you are facing in the air-to-ground world or air-to-surface world. So again, I think, define the Rafales that to be able to bring to the table a very wide and versatile combination of air-to-ground weaponry. Because the Rafale has been already asked to go into a very contested environment, at the very beginning of it, the Rafale was thought about to be able to benefit from stealth features, discretion features, which are already addressed some of. It was also designed to help the pilot fly low level in the clouds and performing an air defense mission if need be. So thanks to the automatic terrain following system, it was designed so that to be able to support the pilot if he was focusing on some mission, not to collide with the ground. So that's also what we call active safety features that have been brought to the Rafale. And of course, when you want to survive, you have to be able to benefit from a high firepower. And so with the Meteor and with the Mika, would it be infrared or electromagnetic missile and heads, you benefit from a versatile system that also gives you the opportunity to go into contested environments and support and survive through it. Again, the missions that the Rafale has been involved into requested assistance and extending range. So the Rafale was designed to be able to carry versatile ordnance, different ordnance, would they be air-to-air or air-to-ground ordnance, but it was also decided it would have to go on its own or refueling and perform long-distance missions. This is why it was decided from the French government that there would be no trade-off between fuel or weapons at the very beginning of this program, and we every day benefit from this option that was taken initially. The Rafale, as it was said before, is obviously participating to joint and combined operations. It's well known that you fight like you train. So the Rafale is welcome and asked for to participate to a lot of major exercises, which I reminded you of some here. As you mentioned, we come to Finland quite regularly, and all this is as one goal is to be well prepared to the D-Day, and many D-Days occurred lately, and the Rafale participated to those D-Days. And okay, this is the kind of preparation and training we need to be prepared for, and interoperability is a key point at this level. To come back to the training, it is obviously important to maximize the learning. The Rafale is capable of a lot of missions, and in some field, for example, some kind of tricky field, I would mention EW or very large force employment mission. It is necessary to take benefit from the new thoughts, the new missions that were able to plan for training. And the live virtual constructive training missions are something which the Rafale was thought to be able to take part into from the very beginning. And lately I was invited by the French Air Force to be a witness, as some of the Finnish people have been not that far ago, and be able to see that LVCT is not a future for the French Air Force, but it's the beginning of it. And for the first time a month ago, there was a mission that was conducted, which I was invited to witness, where there were obviously live aircraft, Rafale among them. There were a simulated AWACS, you know, and there was a team of controllers inside the simulators of the AWACS being able to control the mission. So that answers somehow how do you connect aircraft that are different, okay, if you have a good layered connectivity suite, it is possible. But also there was some, and there was one of the first time, constructive targets that were brought to the table and broadcasted for all the participants. And so that is the beginning of this state-of-the-art training that the Rafale is capable of. Many times when a president decides we have to, the Air Force has to strike, the scramble or a short delay and short time missions, and so it is important to plan and to know that you will deploy with a minimum amount of support. And so maybe during the first mission you will have to fly from difficult, harsh, minimal support environment. The Rafale, because that was part of the French Air Force philosophy, was developed with this also concept in mind. Again, to come back to what I just said, it was decided that in some situation there would be some limited logistics, and so to minimize also the logistic constraints, it was decided that right at the beginning a lot of things would be done on the apron itself, on the ramp itself where the Rafale was. So that was a feature to take into account that there would be light ground support equipment, so minimal. That there would be an improved accessibility, so that to be able to do a lot of maintenance on apron actions. That there would be an extensive modularity, so that to be able to replace modules, on the apron itself without, and of course that the Rafale would tell you what is suffering from itself, so that the embedded integrated testability is something which is also very important, because it helps the ground team being able to intervene swiftly when needed. And so with that we achieved one thing, which is a Rafale can remain on the base for any type of, or most of the maintenance actions that are to be taken. With that, this is conclusion of my intervention. Please ask any question now or later if you need. Thank you very much.
I will take a few questions, I suggest, after we have finished. But let me add a few messages concerning our industrial cooperation without revealing the content of what we have been working so far. The main objectives of the cooperation package we are working on is obviously first to secure and support, as was said, the sovereignty and autonomy of the defense forces globally, support the evolving requirements and operational requirements over the long term of the defense forces, not only the Rafale, but as well all operational requirements, and as well support the Finnish industrial and technological base by developing sustainable business and industrial models. For that purpose, the Rafale team, as was said earlier before by General Gaël Diaz de Tuesta, was to support, fully adhere the concept of the very specific Finnish concept of security of supply. And therefore we will massively transfer maintenance activities as part of our volunteer as part of our motivation to support that concept. We will as well share a lot of the books, open the books and share a lot of Rafale technologies and know-how with Finnish defense forces, with Finnish industry to support that concept. And in the end, of course, that has to be on the long term. Therefore, working for the past 4 years with the local industry has been a real pleasure and a real workforce to develop local capabilities with them. I'm not saying more on the industrial participation, and then I will give the floor to Lieutenant Colonel Amaga before we get outside.
Ladies, gentlemen, good morning. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Clément Amaga. I am the Rafale Program Deputy Officer of the French Air Force staff. I'm proud to be here to represent French forces and be a witness of my Rafale experience. My adventure with Rafale started 12 years ago, first as a young fighter pilot, then as a flight commander, and finally as a squadron commander. I've flown more than 2,000 hours on Rafale, and including 500 hours in war mission. I've seen this fighter aircraft grown up in the Air Force, and from the training areas to operation theater, I can testify that this fighter is combat proven in all types of missions since 2006. Rafale were engaged in numerous operations in Afghanistan, Libya, Sahel region, Central Africa, Iraq and Syria. From recce to strike mission and anti-ship combat, from armed overwatch to air policy and air-to-air mission. It has proven its ability to carry out all types of mission with a small number of aircraft, flexible and agile to carry out type of mission in a single flight. It has also proven its interoperability in numerous NATO exercises such as Red Flag, Tiger Meets, and Atlantic Trident. Atlantic Trident is a trilateral exercise initiative between the best fighters from US Air Force, Royal Air Force, and French Air Force. It has also proven its interoperability in numerous operations, evidenced by the raid in Syria in April 2018. A strike mission coordinated with the US in a non-permissive area defended by air-to-air assets and surface-to-air systems. French Air Force want to maintain a high level of interoperability and wishes to continue to exchange with Finland that began during exercises such as Ball Quest and Arctic Challenge exercise. Proposed by French President Emmanuel Macron in 2017, Finland joined the military project European Intervention Initiative in 2018. French forces want to continue on this path and shares experience with Finnish Air Force. The Rafale program could be a step in closeness between our two countries. Rafale is a mature and high potential aircraft. It has already completed more than 300,000 hours in French forces. We encounter no losses to the enemy in more than 40,000 hours in operations. Low radar cross-section, multi-sensor data fusion, a system of protection and avoidance of enemy fire control allow a high survivability and a precise situation awareness for the crew. Furthermore, Rafale is very competitive with its twin engines and ground avoidance systems to guarantee safety. I want to conclude in pointing a life expectancy of the Rafale in French forces. This jet will still fly and ride French sky in the 2060s. It will be sure that it will be part of the future air combat system. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Maga. We have focused in our presentations and movies in the key discriminating features of the Rafale from a Finnish perspective in that HX competition. Before going outside, I suggest we have a little bit of time. I'm sure you are desperately willing to see the Rafale live, but we can take some questions. Natalie here is heading our communication team, and she will be guiding you and helping you during that day with any additional information you may request. Questions, sir? Yes.
Yes. First of all, I'd like to thank your delegation coming to Finland, and Finland indeed does remember the times that we needed help. France was there to give a hand. We were hoping more, but even that was important. Now, based on, for example, those experiences, we do have concern for security of supply beyond the 10 billion euros. It would seem that 10 billion doesn't include that much of armament under the wings, and therefore we don't have a time to come to Paris to negotiate for more ammunition when that is needed, but that has to be agreed in advance. And you pointed out that you have actually thought of that. Could you open up a little bit what measures France is willing to do in case Finland needs more arms under the wings in matter of hours?
I will not open up much on that, but I can guarantee you that the discussions for the past years between the Defense Forces, Dassault Aviation, the Ministry for the Armed Forces and the French government, and same our counterparts in the Finnish Ministry of Defense have plenty of time to discuss these type of topics, and I can guarantee you that we fully support, and the French-Finnish cooperation are totally addressing this type of crucial topics that we understand.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Kettunen, Suomen sotilasmen käsittely. I think you did bring along two-place Rafales. Why you did choose two-place models?
The two.
And
yes.
It's only part of the question. From which unit or organization are those planes, and are they of some certain standard? Let's say F3 or F3R.
That's the question is interesting. The reason why we have brought two French Air Force Rafale is that the Finnish pilots have more opportunities to fly and understand how capable the Rafale is. Of course, we have in the Air Force single and twin seaters. We have only single seaters in the Navy, so pilots can fly single seaters and train daily on these. But definitely the objective of our forces supporting us by bringing two French Air Force Rafale is to have more capabilities for the Finnish pilots to observe and fly the Rafale. Concerning the origin of this Rafale, both are from the French Defense Forces, French Air Force, One is really an operational aircraft, and the other one is used for development purpose, together between DGA, the French Direction Générale de l'Armement, and Dasault Aviation. So that's why you will see on the tail different signs and different origins from the two aircraft. And in terms of configuration, as you mentioned, the operational aircraft, as was mentioned, is in the F3R standards, and the development purpose is already including and incorporating some future technologies for the future F4 standard. Any other questions? If there are no more questions for the time being,
I have one question.
Please.
Yes. I'm not sure if it's for you or for the ambassador, but let's see who will answer it. There are several European options among the HX candidates. But if Finland would like to choose a European candidate, why France and not the other European ones?
That's more a political question than a technical question.
But as I said, France is a leading country to build a European defense policy. We are fully committed to build a European policy. We think it is a key issue. And as we explained, Dasault Aviation will be the lead company to build the next generation of fighters that will be at the core of the future air combat aircraft system that we would like to build with Germany, Spain, and perhaps other European countries.
Yes. Last question.
Two very practical questions again. What after all this we have heard, what is the future of Rafale after this agreement with Germany? And will there be Rafales? You say after 60. What is the future? And my second question is about this industrial participation. What will it be in practice? Some building here or service?
I will answer rapidly the first question and then give the floor to French Direction Générale de l'Armement for the first part. For the second question on industrial participation, I will not comment on that because we're discussing that within the frame of our HX project.
For the first part of your question, Rafale is an evolving capability. So we have these standards that are introduced every few years. F3 are now, F4, F5 after this. Because Rafale is going to remain the central asset in the French Air Force defense system for until the 2060s. That means that Rafale is going to be the sole asset for the next, let's say, 20 years. Then as the FCAS NGWS program is developed and ramp up, they will complement each other, both of them being central. And now we're talking the 50s, the 60s. And after that, Rafale will remain in the overall French Air Force to complement the FCAS system. So we have a vision over the next 50 years with Rafale alone, Rafale and FCAS cooperating each other, and then Rafale complementing FCAS.
I would like to invite you outside and have a bit of fresh air. You will have the possibility, maybe Emily Peltonen may remind you the rules of engagement for the pictures and videos outside.